Hi, I'm Matt Shurmer, owner of Matt Shurmer Driving School. If you're considering taking driving lessons, you'll probably have some questions, and that's why I've created this video. I want you to be informed, I also want you to be relaxed. So let's address your questions. By the end of this video, you should have a much better understanding of the answers to the questions that have been on your mind. Most students and their parents are looking for a driving school and a driving instructor that will teach the driving syllabus efficiently. This should include preparation for the theory and the practical test, and the driving skills for you to remain safe on today's busy roads. So how do you choose your instructor and ensure you will receive the maximum value for your money and be prepared in the shortest time possible? Well, first question, will my driving instructor be fully qualified? It may come as a surprise, but not all driving instructors are fully qualified. It's been a long-standing issue within the driving school industry that trainee instructors are allowed by law to provide lessons at the same lesson rate as fully qualified instructors. Personally, I think this practice is quite poor, and many driving schools do not mention this fact when students are booking their lessons. I would suggest that you make a point of asking if your driving instructor will be fully qualified during your initial inquiry. Another question often revolves around the lesson length. How long should my driving lesson be? 1 hour, 90-minute or 2-hour lessons? And many students and their parents start the selection process just by asking how much is a 1-hour lesson. So let's explore the lesson length first. Well, with over 15 years of experience and one of the highest pass rates in the area, I find that taking a 90-minute to 2-hour lesson every week proves to be the most successful strategy for most students. 90-minute or 2-hour lessons are far more beneficial to your learning. You will learn far more for your money, and you will also be test ready so much quicker. You'll have a decent amount of condensed learning in one go, with time to digest and be focused for your next lesson. Sometimes students think that they'll be unable to concentrate for a period of 90 minutes to 2 hours. But this is why I would chunk your lessons and break up the lesson to cover several topics, just as they do in the school curriculum to keep the learning fresh and focused. Just to be clear and to give you a balanced view, there's absolutely nothing wrong with 1-hour lessons. I just feel that they offer less value for your money as they prolong the learning period substantially. Another of the drawbacks is having to take time from your lesson to drive to a suitable location that is relevant to cover the topic, such as if you're doing crossroads or roundabouts. So you've got the time getting there and then the time of having to drive back again. Should you be considering intensive or crash courses? Well, many of the inquiries that I receive asking about intensive courses are from students that have yet to take and pass their theory test. Should this be the case, you'd normally be waiting for around 8 weeks in normal times for a practical test from the time you pass your theory test. In the current climate, test waiting times are now much longer. If you're looking to take a week off school or work and condense your lessons, this can work for you if you're able to schedule your intensive course a few weeks before your practical test. Taking an intensive course and then having to wait more than a few weeks before taking your practical test can mean that you find yourself just getting a little bit rusty while you're waiting. The other thing to consider is that you may be purchasing more lessons than you require and therefore spending more money than is necessary, or booking less lessons than you need and arriving on test day underprepared and running the risk of having to rebook another test and having the frustration of waiting a few months for that next test and the extra expense that comes as a result. What about taking regular weekly lessons for continuity? Well, taking a regular weekly lesson has proven success as it provides continuity, the retention of knowledge, and it will reduce your learning period. It's worth asking during your initial inquiry if your lessons can be booked in advance for a regular weekly slot. Not all driving schools or driving instructors allow you to book lessons in advance, and many make bookings just from week to week. This can be frustrating to students as there's no guarantee that your lesson slot will be available, and it's one of the major reasons that students change their instructor. Personally, I feel that regular weekly lessons are the most important aspect of learning to drive. Even with a missed week, you can often find that you take a little step back before you start moving forwards again. So, will I get on with my driving instructor, and will he or she provide the best value for my money? Driving instructors vary enormously in the way that they teach the syllabus and within the quality of their teaching. They also vary in customer skills when it comes to their patience and friendliness. It is quite disturbing that around 30% of all learner drivers feel they need to change their driving instructor before reaching test standard because of incompatibility issues or the lack of progress. Many instructors work as sole operators and have no requirement for ongoing training. In fact, many independent instructors never take any further training from the day that they qualified. Very few driving schools monitor their driving instructors' performance and provide ongoing training to ensure they keep up to date with modern teaching methods. What price can I expect to pay for my driving lessons? Well, generally the price you pay for your lessons will be related to the training skill and the compatibility of your instructor. As mentioned, some instructors have never taken any training since the day they qualified, and they often lack the modern teaching methods recommended by our governing body, the DVSA. Those that operate with the lowest lesson prices tend to have the lowest pass rates and lack customer reviews and recommendations. Purchasing what appear to be cheap lessons and a good deal is tempting, especially when you're on a tight budget, but like most things in life, there's often a hidden cost to cheap, and that is quite often a much longer learning period, frustration at the lack of progress, and the expense of a failed test and having to take further lessons. The best instructors and those with the highest first-time pass rates will have invested in their training to be at the top of their game. They tend to have superior compatibility skills, and as a result will have copious amounts of customer reviews and recommendations. They command higher lesson prices, as you would expect, but will provide superior value for money with the quality of the instruction and a shorter learning period. Locally, a number of schools also price their lessons by 50 minutes, which can appear to make themselves look cheaper, when in fact their charges are all very similar to one another. Hopefully, I've been able to enlighten you as to why driving lesson prices vary enormously and explain why driving